on Instagram, this Avengers page put up like this picture like, do you want an all-female MCU movie? And I clicked the comments, and I don't know why.
Oh no.
Because before I knew it, I'm getting into it with idiots.
Oh no.
Why do you do this to yourself?
I don't even know why I did it, because there was 200 comments. I was like, I gotta see.
You got reverse trolled by Marvel.
I did. It wasn't, dude. It's an unofficial Avengers page. It's not
I was
even
about
by
to say,
Marvel.
but that's a bunch of motherfuckers that sound like me. Oh, I don't want no SJWs in my superhero movies.
Oh, trust me, they weren't even being that. I wish they were being that unsubtle. Someone was like, I don't know, this would make a shitty movie, and it's also political appropriation. I was like, I don't think you're using that word the way it's supposed to be used.
So you're saying that they would follow Rorschach's blog?
Yes.
To call back to our Deadpool episode.
And then immediately I was like, how would this make a shitty movie? And throw out your argument about political appropriation. And I put that in quotes or some shit like that. And he was like, oh, what the fuck did he say to me? He was like, oh, I don't think we need it. And something else along the lines like, it would just be a shitty movie. I was like, so let's just throw out plot, characters, acting, music, visuals, aesthetics. Oh, that goes out the window.
That's one of the
judge ideas based on assumed political agendas now. Is that where we're at?
Yeah.
Well, your mistake is making comments on Instagram posts. Like,
I
Instagram
know.
is just looking at nice pictures.
But now we're here,
nice
and we have to talk about it. And then somebody else chimed in. They're like,
sexual connotation whatsoever.
hold on. And then someone else chimed in. They're like, well, why don't you name a movie with an all-male cast? You need some kind of balance. I'm like, Ghostbusters, you idiot.
All of them.
All of the movies.
Yeah.
The Thing.
To which he then replies, that's an all-female cast, and it failed. And I was like, the original one, you fucking dolt.
Once again, don't comment
Are we at a
on
point in
things in
history where
Instagram.
people don't know the original Ghostbusters? I feel old.
I watched Guardians 2 with my wife's two little cousins, and I had to explain to them after the movie who Sylvester Stallone was.
Oh god.
Holy shit.
Man.
Yeah.
Wow.
Eh,
Anyway, hi everybody, welcome to Phantom Zone. I'm Connor McGraw. We're going to be talking about The Flash, kind of, and some news.
For a second.
Yeah.
Arlen Haro here, as usual.
Again.
Who's next? I guess I'll go then. Oh, no? Go ahead, Hunter.
It's Hunter Davenport. I'm here, I guess.
I'm Eric Fedorchak, back after a long hiatus, and I can show you a world. Shining, shimmering.
I will find a way to ship you through the internet.
I just wish people knew who Eddie Bravo was, because it's the only part of that I could do an impression of that would add to it, but nobody knows.
Wait, Eddie, fucking Joe Rogan's friend?
Yes, because he is like really good friends with
Dude, the fucking crazy guy who's all about
Flat Earth.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, well then.
He never went to the moon. But bro, like, and he talks all Californian and he's super Mexican. It's like, can you explain me the science? Did you use that in the library? No. I saw a 4-part documentary on YouTube. That's how I know everything's real, man.
Yeah.
He sounds like the best friend of Eddie, or Jesse Ventura.
I am extra pissed off because apparently somehow during all this chaos of, oh, by the way, the show is delayed in recording tonight because I thought I blew up an outlet in my bedroom. So I rearranged my entire room, and somehow during the chaos, I must have tossed my can of Rockstar that's in a bag against something, pierced it, and now I have a bag full of sugary cocaine sitting here.
So you have to wait till it dries out, and then you crush it up, and you snort that shit. Like an
Lou with drug tip.
Like a real American. Damn
So please go introduce yourselves while I dispose of this waste.
Hunter, you can go first. I'll go last.
Oh, Hunter already said hello.
Oh, so I guess it's just
his
me.
name.
Yeah.
Alright.
I gotta go too.
Oh, okay. You can. I'll go last.
Oh, fine.
Let them fight.
Let them fight. Yay! I'm Gary Gallimore.
Yeah, back. 2-drink minimum or maximum this time around.
Do not say 2-drink minimum, because I hit the minimum easy.
All right, and I'm Lou Gonzalez, and I'm sad to say, Lena, I am not white, and I don't know how people will feel about that.
God fucking damn it. That's about as much Supergirl coverage as we need.
That's it. I can't do this podcast.
All right. Since Connor's doing that, I will say let's go into the Flash. So, everybody who saw it, what did you think of the way that this was concluded? Because
I want to say I really like this movie when I did not like this movie when I saw it in 2003. And if you don't know what I'm getting at, is because this entire episode was basically the Matrix Evolution.
It was.
Oh no!
And after watching it, how many? It made me realize. All right, he's been saying Mr. Allen the entire season, and I'm just like, no. And then it was the exact fight from the end.
Motherfuckers!
This has all been leading up to a
Mr.
Matrix
Allen.
2 reference.
They have a fight inside of his brain, kind of like the Matrix, and then he fights a billion versions of the calculator, just like the Matrix Evolutions. It's the same, and it looks exactly the same. It is.
See, I read the wiki.
I'm so angry right now.
Did you notice that, or am I the only one?
No, I didn't put all those pieces together, but as you said it, I was like, "Fuck you." Fuck this Flash writers.
The goddamn Savitar, I am the future Flash thing.
Oh, you guys are so making me happy. I just read the wiki.
Yeah.
It's so bad. And then, so I guess to get into it, is Ralph now a god?
Yeah.
Yeah, because so they don't explain it in the episode, but presumably he has all those powers still.
He's the Ralphulator.
Right. So he should just be able to destroy everyone that they come up against.
So you're saying he can animate as many statues as he wants to?
Yes,
God.
he can. I don't know if you were on, but he can reanimate dead bodies now also.
And the calculator is finally defeated the same way I defeated my Sega Genesis, by ripping out a cartridge.
Yeah, kind of.
Because he makes a duplicate using the techno powers, and then his wife just rips out a piece of the chair, and he's gone.
Yep.
Cool. Man, I'm glad I stopped watching this show a few episodes ago.
Oh my god. I'm glad I stopped watching it a long time ago.
On a so bad it's good level, I think you almost should have kept watching, Eric, because it just got ridiculous.
There's like
I
5
didn't have
episodes.
the fortitude.
There's like 5 episodes of the season you need to watch. And that's
Look,
it.
I suffer mental illness. I don't need to suffer the Flash too.
Yeah, but they said they would do no more time travelers, and then at the last second, oh my god, there's a time traveler.
Yeah, so they finally
confirmed
fooled you,
didn't we?
They finally confirmed that that's the daughter.
Yeah. She shows up when they're having the birthday for the birth party for the other kid, Joe's daughter.
She's like, hey, remember that time you guys fucked in the 31st century or something?
No, they literally hit you over the head with it. It's like, oh, weren't you at the wedding? Oh, weren't you this person? Didn't you spill my coffee on me? Like they say every single time she's there, like you haven't been paying attention. Mm-hmm. And then I don't even remember what her name is. And then they also go like, oh, isn't that Iris's jacket? How'd you get it? It's one of a kind. Blah blah blah. Sploosh.
That's an example of that's an example of writing that's like, dude, our audience is totally stupid.
Yep.
I know we have talked about this, or because I guess only me and Arlen have watched this episode here, right?
Hunter apparently just. Did you watch it, or do you just not remember it?
I didn't watch it. I have shit going on in my life that I was just like, if I watch Supergirl, I'm just gonna go over the edge.
But you watched the Flash though.
Yes, I did. I did watch it.
Okay, that's what we're talking about.
All right, I spaced out for a second. I thought you said Supergirl.
No, we were saying
you went into Flash time.
Yeah, we were saying that's all we needed to know about Supergirl. That's what we said. So
yeah,
we have flashback. Jimmy Olsen's black.
Hang on, are we shitting on Flash yet?
Yes, we are.
Oh, yeah.
We're right in the middle of it.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, everybody's making me real happy I don't watch that show.
Yeah. What was the name of the girl? Because I don't even remember because I was so checked out.
I don't remember, and I don't really care. Like,
wait, who?
Future daughter.
Future daughter.
She's Nora West Allen.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Why is her name Nora? Oh, his mom.
Yeah. Nora.
Okay.
Martha. Why did you say that name?
Well, no, because when Barry fights Mr. Freeze, he'll say Nora. And then they'll.
It's like, oh, you know my
so
pain.
here's my complicated thoughts in this episode. The short answer is, fuck this show. The long answer is this is actually a pretty fantastic episode of The Flash.
I agree.
Wrapped up in some really stupid context.
Yeah.
Because there's this was a very visually pleasing episode and had some of the best actual Flash action that the show has produced. But the same thing happened last year in Savitar's finale because that had featured a fucking 5-speedster brawl and it was awesome. And the DeVoe clones were awesome. That entire sequence inside the Mindscape was really cool.
You definitely missed what I said before.
Yeah, no, because Lou pointed out that was all a reference to Matrix Revolutions, and I'm immediately against it now.
I kind of like it.
I mean, it works, I guess, but it's still dumb.
He calls him Mr. Allen the entire season.
That's very true. Also, I think the actor who plays DeVoe, whose name I just keep fucking forgetting, seemed like he was having a blast.
He did. He was chewing that scenery.
Yeah, when he came in, he's doing the fucking the orchestra conduction shit. I'm like, I do love this guy, and I'm so mad he was gone for a third of the season.
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah, I missed him tremendously.
Yeah.
But after, I'll get to DeVoe's fate in a moment, but Barry running up the building and fuck punching a satellite was awesome.
Mm-hmm. That's cool.
Really cool. And then redoing that sequence with his daughter was interesting because I think the implication there is that without her, he died.
Yep.
So she stopped the crisis?
Yes. So she came back in time to meet her father because my theory and several other, I guess this is a shared theory, is that she never met Barry because Iris was already pregnant with her unbeknownst to her, and Barry died punching the satellite.
That makes sense.
That actually makes the entire thing pretty interesting.
Except that now Ralph is a god.
Yeah, he's a god.
Yeah, what the? Okay,
Yeah.
Here's the thing.
We have to catch you up on what we talked about.
My thing with Ralph is, why did you kill him? Because he wasn't gone long enough for me to miss him, and then you brought him right back.
Yeah. Well, no, because this was clearly the whole idea from the beginning. That this is how they defeat DeVoe, but it's you didn't sell us on him being dead. We didn't care. It wasn't a gut punch when he died. It was I
was furious when he died. It wasn't a gut punch. I was angry because I'm great, you took the only thing you actually developed in this show and you just cast it off to the side.
Yeah.
Here's my question. Why did DeVoe leave him in his brain alive?
And that's my other thing. Why did he only leave? Why did Dibney survive the entire process but nobody else did?
I don't know.
So you're telling me what also makes
story?
It makes all these heroes kind of look shitty because it's oh, our one friend we actually liked, you're alive, yay!
Yeah.
What about the fucking 11 other people DeVoe killed?
I guess
they weren't superheroes.
It's I've been saying all season. Plot reasons, the plot calls for it, so this will happen. That's the only thing I can think of.
And now the final insult was DeVoe's ultimate defeat, which this guy is the thinker. He outthought everybody this entire season. His superpower is to think. He's supposed to be 10 steps ahead of everybody, including his wife.
His power is that he's already read the script.
Okay, so
exactly.
So I'm gonna.
So then his whole thing is digital resurrection.
Yeah.
And then his wife walks up and literally unplugs him and he dies.
I mean, yeah.
His power is not foresight. I
his power is that is true. Yeah, I guess.
He couldn't calculate emotions.
I guess it was a kamikaze move at the end there. I don't know what was going on there.
Why wouldn't he just upload himself to the internet?
Right. Like Ultron or something.
Or Lawnmower Man.
Because he'd end up going on to some weird furry porn site and just living there for the rest of his life.
But also, why kill off a villain? I loved what Arrow did this season because they didn't.
Mm-hmm.
Why kill off your villain? You've killed off every other villain so far.
I would say Hunter Zolomon did survive. Reverse Flash is provably unkillable.
Well, Hunter is the Black Flash. He's the Flash.
Yeah.
So he's not really alive.
He's alive with quotation
whether or not
marks.
whether or not he exists currently after Killer Frost froze him and shattered him is kind of up in the air. Because
he's alive.
Because can you kill Speedster Death? I don't know if you can.
No, I think you can kill that physical form he's taking at the moment.
Yeah.
But you can't kill him.
Yeah. But DeVoe being undone by something as simple as that, especially when like he showed the whole room his hand. As soon as he had his freak out, he goes behind his chair, smacks that button, and if that was his failsafe, why didn't Marlize walk up right then and there and unplug it?
Yeah, because she still loved him. Well, I'm saying that with like the most bullshit ever.
But does she though?
I don't know.
I don't know.
Kill him.
She definitely doesn't love that version of him. She loves the version that is dead.
Remember?
Yes. Yeah, like Barry basically makes it clear the person she fell in love with, he's gone. He doesn't exist anymore.
Also, my favorite part of this episode is I think is it Joe that's like, is it Joe or Cisco that looks at her and is like, we're all in this because you're a piece of shit and you did all this. With
No, it's Joe. Joe, first of all, this is continuing the trend of Joe not being scared of any superpowered villain or their friends.
Yep.
Like, he's repeatedly, in deleted scenes and undeleted scenes, walked up to the villain straight to their face and says, yo, if this goes south, I'm gonna kill you dead.
Yeah, Joe gives no fucks. Joe gives zero fucks.
Like,
it's
in
pretty
season
great.
1, he tells Reverse Flash, like, if something happens to Barry, I don't care where or when you go, I'll find you. Do you doubt me? And Eobard goes, no.
It's because you lived all those years working in Law and Order in New York.
Yeah.
Bum, bum.
He's basically the same character.
See, I figured Joe wasn't going to make it through the episode just because Cecile finally gave birth to their child that caused him to 404 all the time. So
no way they would have offed him and what's his name in Arrow at the same time.
Oh no, Joe is going to live forever. He's going to outlive everyone on the show.
Joe is going to outlive everybody. Joe.
Eventually,
He's
he's
gonna
going
be-
off. Just called Joe.
He's going to be.
Hatred alone.
Can I say the one other thing that they didn't address, but they like hinted at this whole episode? Is like, what the hell were they writing? Like, why was Harry writing that shit?
I
Like,
don't
what was
know.
that?
They
And
didn't
then it was
address
in the-
that at all.
Here's the thing. There was a bunch of stuff that was cut for time from this episode, including the season 5 villain tease.
Right.
Now, there's another theory floating around that basically the leaked villain is Cicada.
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 Yeah.
I don't know a fucking thing about that.
Al,
the insects?
Al posted a video yesterday in the main chat. It's actually pretty fascinating. He's a lot like Baron Mordo from Doctor Strange the movie, it seems.
Okay.
At least based off of how I was able to interpret it and what they're putting out in terms of like casting notices.
He looks like he's lightning themed.
Yeah.
Yeah, isn't he like functionally immortal? Like, and he has to steal the lightning from people to be able to continue to be immortal.
I guess he can steal meta powers, which is actually kind of a cool idea if it hadn't been used
just
already
like
in this season.
Yeah. Sounds familiar.
And I think what happened this is I saw this on some YouTube stuff. Like, apparently, like they were like, hey, we might do Cicada, and some people were like, what? Why? And then mysteriously, the season 5 villain tease from the end of the episode was cut for time. Along with any other references to him. So now we're just left with Nora West Allen going, I fucked up.
Yep.
Awesome.
Yeah. It's
awesome.
It's real great.
So
anyway,
there was
they answered nothing though. That's the thing.
I think this stuff, that's my next point. Is I think the stuff with the writing in the notebook was probably some season 5 stuff that they either quote unquote cut for time or actually cut for time, which is still a weird thing to say because you have 23 episodes a season. You didn't think to manage that time a little better?
Yeah, I mean,
the writing she had in that journal was the same as what Barry was writing on the walls when he first came out of.
It's the same thing that Harry was writing. It's the same thing that was on the fucking visor that was the only improvement to the helmet.
All I can think is I have to keep on going back to our Kreisberg theory of, fucking Guggenheim on the phone, like, with 4 different people. Like, Kreisberg leaving changed the show, I guess.
This was his baby. Of all the shows, this was Kreisberg's baby. He ran the show. This was his creation.
Yeah.
So him going is like, they just kind of were like, all right, we got to finish the season and we'll figure the rest of the shit out later.
Yeah. And they put it off and put it off and put it off until they get to the last episode. And it's not even fully cooked. It's like 1/4 of the way cooked.
It's rare.
Yeah, it's like spaghetti that's just starting to get soft, but it's just not quite there.
It's not quite al dente.
Yeah.
Well, then that makes me wonder if they'll ever answer the question of why Barry said this house is bitching.
Because Nora said it.
He said that in an earlier season. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I didn't realize that.
I don't get it. Here's the thing. If in the first episode, if we were supposed to understand that all this stuff happened because he was in the Speed Force, we should have known that in that first episode.
Well, I think what happened with Barry is that while being in the Speed Force, he was likely exposed to all of time itself at once.
Yeah, I agree.
But we shouldn't be coming to that conclusion now. We should have known it then.
I get that, and also, if you guys remember, like, a lot of what he was saying was stuff that ended up transpiring later in the season.
Exactly.
Well, they also had said from the beginning that it wasn't Cisco and the team that brought him back. It was something else. But they never explicitly explained how the calculator got him out of the Speed Force.
They never explained it. They never gave any solid explanation for how Barry got out.
Like, how the hell did he know that? I can see him putting those people on that bus, but how did he know what powers they were going to get?
I posited this question a few weeks ago. Like, who just said the Thinker's ability is that he read the script?
I said that. I think we all said it.
His superpower is fourth wall breaking knowledge of what is going to happen.
Right.
It's like the opposite, but equally as annoying as Domino in like a kind of script way.
Yeah. Where Domino's superpower is it's stated in the movie that her superpower is luck, and they even commentate like that's stupid. That's not a power. And then they go ahead and physically demonstrate how that is actually a power.
Right.
It's a writing cheat sheet.
Yeah.
Like her power is that she's like, oh, we have a situation we don't know how to figure out. Oh, Domino, she's lucky. His power is, oh, we don't know how to fix this. Well, he knows what's going to happen.
Well, I'm smarter than you,
Mr. Allen.
Although
I do want to say,
want to take the red pill or the blue pill?
Some of my favorite parts of this episode was once again Tom Cavanaugh reaching through the screen and squeezing my eyeballs until tears came out because the man's incredible. And even when he's playing a man who used to be intelligent, who's now been reduced to a simpleton, I'm like, he is doing that with everything he's got. Like, he's just sitting there, like, just poking at stuff, just rambling on, and, like, looking cosmically sad.
He was amazing, and I honestly don't know if we should have another HR.
Well, we are.
So, like, I was going to say, like, is he signed on? If he's signed on, are we getting
Tom
Tom
Cavanaugh isn't going anywhere. He loves the show to death.
Yeah.
And he loves Grant Gustin, so he's not going anywhere.
I think he'll have a reduced role, though, next season.
I just hope it's the McConaughey one. That's all I want.
I don't think they'll ever do that for a full season, but a boy can dream.
I would actually, if they brought the Council of Wells in all together,
that'd be
great.
I mean, yeah, that'd be cool.
But like when he goes into his lab and he's sitting there with the thinking cap on, just looking at it, I was like, this is actually some really good shit.
Yeah.
And then later on, when he gets his cognitive functions back, but doesn't have a fully functional IQ, like his IQ has been damaged.
Yes,
but he's
at,
normal.
like normal.
He's at normal.
Yeah. He's at baseline.
He found balance between being hyper intelligent and actually being in touch with his emotions, which I thought was really good.
And his last is like, yeah, family is important. I'm going to go see my daughter. Like,
yep,
that's exactly what he learned. Because
I think actually, like, one of his season arc is one of my favorites this season because, like, he through technology he both reached his daughter, lost his mind, and then got it all back again. Because he couldn't communicate with Jesse about his mother, he had to put that device on, and then he shared his thoughts with Jesse about it.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
And then, like, through the use of the thinking cap, he turned his brain into mush. And then with the thinking cap, they brought him back. So I thought that was all really good stuff. But I thought there was good shit, and like the end of the episode where, like I said, Barry punched the satellite. That's some Flash goodness I want to see. Mm-hmm. It's just a shame that we had to go through this entire bullshit season to get there.
Yeah.
Lots and lots, like 20 episodes of filler.
Yeah.
I think my most disappointing thing that we didn't get to see was more of Caitlyn's story, because they left it off in such a like an interesting way.
They left it off in such an interesting way in the fact that, like, we even got one more tease this episode where Cecile looks at Caitlyn and says something about Thomas.
Yeah, I was like, oh, so we're gonna hear more, and then that was it. I was like, oh, goddamn.
Yeah.
That's why, like, if they would have cut one of those filler episodes and given us, like, last episode 2 episodes ago, and this one was like a double long, like,
yeah, and I'm thinking that the back half of the season that was filmed later on was where they were just like, fucking fill shit in where we think it goes.
Yeah, they probably had a notebook or an outline of what's his asshole was gonna do, and they were like, shit, what do we do? And
I think it's last season we theorized that they changed their minds about what the season was halfway through.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As opposed to losing the creative figurehead, because last season you can tell there's an actual, like, you can feel the show pivot from one concept to the next.
Yeah. But that's not something new. The comics have done that before. Like, Marvel did it. They haven't admitted it, but I think they did it with Red Hulk. And I know DC did it way back in the day with some story that the bad guy was obviously supposed to be Captain Atom, and they changed it to, like, Hawk. Like, from some shitty future or something.
Okay.
Because there's, like, if you look, but with the Red Hulk thing, if you look in the first, when they introduced that character, where the fuck is Thunderbolt's mustache?
Yeah.
But they never addressed that, because everyone was like, oh, it's obviously Doc Samson. And they were like, oh shit, everyone guessed after one issue, so we have to change it.
I mean, it was still dumb.
It was still dumb, yes.
They shamed one dumb idea for another.
Go. You're not wrong.
Okay, are we good on the Flash? Because
I think we are.
So we're ready to talk about Supergirl for the next hour?
No, we're not talking about Supergirl.
No.
I'd rather die.
I'm getting a PowerPoint presentation loaded up, so if you guys can just hold on for a second.
So as far as
how about fuck the both of you?
We have 3 official members of the show, 3 like full-time members of the show on right now.
3 OG members.
Yes. So I'm just gonna hold the vote right now. Do we want to cover Supergirl for the rest of the season?
No.
I vote nay. No. So we're done with it. Goodbye until next October.
Good job, guys. You guys came to a unanimous decision, and apparently that show is crap too. I'm glad I don't watch it.
It's actually sad. Like, it's really sad.
Flash has angered me with how it's gone downhill. Supergirl depresses me.
Yeah.
Supergirl pisses me the fuck off.
Melissa Benoist is so good.
She is.
I was about to say that first season showed some promise.
No, here's the thing, Gerry. You're correct. That's what makes me so angry.
Here's the thing. I've only watched like the last 5 episodes. I've seen Kara for about 30 seconds.
Oh yeah, we can go into that like much later, but not now.
Well, but what if they bring back Superman and that baked ham ass he's got?
I mean, whatever they have to do, because Jesus Christ.
He's still the best Superman we've gotten in over a decade.
Yeah, that booty is ridiculous, and I'm a straight male. Like, Gerry, have you seen fucking
drop a quarter on it, it'll end up in Arizona?
I have not seen
the super booty. Hang on.
Yeah, you've not seen Star of Teen Wolf playing.
Oh God!
I mean, I've seen him in costume, but I've never seen his ass.
No, well, there's one photo from the production stills that like people got a hold of and were like, "Holy shit!"
Yeah, because it looked crazy.
You could definitely bounce a coin.
It looked fake.
Yeah.
Oh, it would end up in 3 time zones over if you bounced a coin off of it. Jesus.
Like he had some ass padding in his suit. He's like, his one stipulation for signing on as Superman was, you got to make my ass look really good.
I don't think they did anything.
I don't think they did anything.
Except for put some like tight ass clothing over
it.
There
you go, Gerry, right in the
I think Homeboy's just got a badonk.
Yeah.
Oh no.
Gerry, check the Skype chat.
I think they were actually like sad, like how the positive response from him just like pissed off Warner Brothers Prime.
Well, that would assume
like,
they pay attention to anything.
Second to last photo is the one we're talking about.
Why do I feel like I'm gonna regret this?
No, it's not bad.
No, you won't.
It's like super porn.
No, it's from
Holy
some...
shit!
Did I hear
Shazam.
I've been reading a comic called Savage Dragon recently. It's
Dude's
been
body looks
very
like a
enlightening.
dude's lower half looks like a question mark. Holy shit!
Dude, he does squats, man. What can you say?
Apparently, he does all the squats.
He is I think next to Henry Cavill, who's like I think the real Superman. Tyler Hoechlin's their favorite because like
I think
look at this
like
fucking
I like
shit.
the suit too. Actually,
Yeah, I like how the cape comes down, like the hinges for his cape come down into his chest, like right above the emblem.
like
It's very
the
similar.
New 52 style.
Yeah.
It's also similar to the Injustice, like Superman.
Yes, and the Injustice designs are some of my favorite parts of that entire ordeal.
Yeah.
But
Oh,
it's-
yeah.
I like how
it's still-
everybody has like a very interesting look.
But his
You know,
suit
I
very
still
much
think
matches.
it's funny that Superman basically is wearing his underwear.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, he's wearing his baby PJs. That like I grew up with him.
Well, in the fiction
don't
I've
wanna
heard,
take them off.
Henry Cavill is actually Superman in the new Mission Impossible movie too, because that's why he's so fucking terrifying when he
Oh
looks
my
like he's going
god.
to. Fucking, I love that scene so much. Every time I see the trailer, I'm just like, here it comes, yes.
Oh, he's a big fucking guy.
He's scary. Like if he was like coming at me, I'd be terrified.
Oh, yeah.
It's also like you stand next to Tom
Shit.
Cruise, who's like 5'2". You're gonna look
Yeah.
like a fucking.
What
tank.
was that
Well,
movie
and
that he did?
the weird thing
that
about
was
that
actually kinda
sequence, the weird thing about that sequence with him and Tom Cruise is like he's fighting some dude with Tom Cruise.
Yeah.
Tom
it's-
Cruise is 5'2" and he's 60 years old.
Yeah.
He's really 6 years.
Yeah.
He's like 50 something.
Well, Tom Cruise also. Here's
He's
the
up
thing.
there.
Here's the thing with Tom Cruise is like I know for some reason the world has kind of turned to the idea of like, oh, he's terrible and he's crazy. I'm like, first of all, he's crazy, but he's not
But
terrible.
he's awesome.
First of all, you're
Because,
right.
like,
Crazy part.
Because
Before The
totally-
Mummy, name his
I-
worst movie.
See, like before that, like I saw like the last Tom Cruise movie I saw was Edge of Tomorrow, and I fucking love that movie.
Oh, that movie's great.
Even
Even
was
the
phenomenal.
Jack Reacher movie wasn't
I
that
saw,
fucking
yeah,
bad.
and I saw a production video from the new Mission Impossible. That dude jumped across like 2 buildings legitimately, and when he landed, he
broke his.
snaps his fucking ankle and climbs up.
God,
Yeah, no, that's what he's known for. I
on-
think like from the third Mission Impossible forward, he's done
Second.
at least one of the big stunts in
I
each
think
movie.
in all of them he's done like most of
No,
his
it's
stunts.
insane.
I was
the
about to
guy's-
say, even in the second one, you know, when he's climbing up the mountain or whatever, that's really him climbing that mountain in the second one, and then he slides down and shit. That's really him.
Well, yeah, and the scene in Ghost Protes when he was climbing the Burj, I think he was definitely doing some of that on his own. Well, not on his own. I mean,
Yeah,
obviously
he
a
was
lot of
doing it,
harnesses.
His
Yeah.
As much as he
IMDb
could, yes.
Even holding on to the outside of the plane, that was really him.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I do. I left the room for a second, but I was listening. Yeah, even if he does do a bad movie, he is good in them. Like Oblivion is a terrible film. He's
But he is
I
so
don't even
watchable.
He's
think
so
Oblivion's
good in that
terrible.
movie.
I think Oblivion's meh, but
It's boring.
it's very
It's
boring.
It's almost how I view The Rock right now. It's like he can do a bad movie, but somehow
Yeah.
he is still watchable.
See, the only
Yeah.
movie he's done that actually got like, okay, since Doom, since The Rock has become like an actual movie star,
Mhm.
I think the only one that really
Baywatch.
got any kind of nasty reception was Baywatch.
And even he was watchable in that.
Yeah, he's
And he
good
got-
in
he-
that.
I like how mad he got about it. He's like, "Oh, well, fucking film critics ruined it for us." I'm like,
Well,
"No,
good.
you just don't know how to. You don't know how to handle bad press."
Yeah,
That's
and
all."
also you gotta take it from his perspective. He puts in so much effort into
Yep.
every single movie.
He's
Oh,
the
he
new
is
Arnold,
so good. Yeah.
he's the
So-
new Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Yeah, so
does
like,
every-
Kind
Everything-
of, but without the accent that everybody goes like, "Wait, what the fuck did he say?"
Well, they
Have you
replaced
ever
that.
heard? Have you ever heard Arnold's interview where I think he went to talk to Dino De Laurentiis, I believe it was?
yes, he's
Uh,
talking
Where he's
about it.
talking about weightlifting.
Where he's talking about how he could not. Where Dino was like, he's like, "You can't be Conan. Listen to that accent." But Here's how Gino said it to him. Hey, you cannot be Conan. That accent, no one can understand. And then years later, after Conan came out, Dino walked up to him, pat him in the back, and said, "You are Conan," and walked away.
But here's the thing: it's like everybody. I don't care who you are, if it's good or bad. Everybody has an Arnold Schwarzenegger impression.
Yep. Yes.
And everybody knows who you're impersonating.
Yeah. We all know. It's such an easy to impersonate accent.
I don't think you can really do an impersonation of The Rock unless you're doing like a fucking 1999 promo.
Yeah.
Fucking,
It's just lifting your eyebrows a lot.
You really just do. I can smell what The Rock is cooking, and that's it.
Yeah, because I can't impersonate The Rock because I don't have his natural acting ability or charisma.
Yeah.
Maybe you do a line from the Scorpion King. I could see somebody doing that.
Sorry. It doesn't matter what you say.
And you dig it.
I just wish I could make.
Definitely not The Rock. That was
There
D'Lo Brown.
Yeah.
I wish I could imitate.
Whoa, first of all, that was Cyrus. Okay?
Yeah.
I know, but if they were gonna redo the Warriors today, The Rock would be playing Cyrus.
Holy shit! Actually, I wouldn't
Yes.
want The Rock to be Cyrus because I want him in the whole movie.
I would.
Because
No,
if he was Cyrus, I would expect him to catch the bullet with
No,
his
if
teeth.
he's in the whole movie, though, they just win automatically. Even if he's the leader of the Warriors, it's like there's no conflict here. They're just gonna go through them all.
Swoon.
But if-
The
They're all
Warriors
gonna
did it.
swoon.
The Rock steps to the barricade and goes, "What'd you say?" And then
Right.
like fucking, I can't remember his name. I think it's Rogan from the Rogues. He'd just be like, "I mean, if we did it. It was us. I
Yeah.
have the gun. It's right here."
but if he's
No,
Cyrus and he gets shot, it's a completely different thing.
In a shocking turn of events, they would make him the lead of the Lezzies.
I'm sorry, they were the Lizzies. Okay?
Lizzies. I couldn't remember if it was the Lezzies or Lizzies. I couldn't.
It's a completely different thing.
No, they put it.
Well,
he's
no,
the
no,
head of the
no,
baseball
They
Furies.
are 100% gang of lesbians because
Yeah.
there's
Yeah.
what like it's just how like you take a look at it and go, yeah, they sleep together, but who cares? But they
Yeah.
call themselves Lizzies because the Lezzies is too on the
A little
nose.
too on the head, yeah.
Yeah. And, you know, it's unlike the hi-hats who wear hi-hats.
Right.
Jesus Christ.
At least the Furies added something to it. To
Yeah.
We're
try and
the
make
moon boots. Guess what we do?
We're the.
Like, the hi-hats are probably the only ones that where you go, really? Because like everything else is like the Turnbull ACs, like the Gramercy Riffs, the fucking the Punks, the Angels, the Saints, the Warriors, the Rogues. I know too much about the Warriors.
Yes, you do. You really do. You should write the Warriors remake starring The Rock.
The Orphans. I used to know every gang that was present at that summit.
Of course you did. Of course you did. All right. Okay, I feel like this is a good place to start going into our actual news stories because this is an actual show.
I will say
Okay.
one thing though. Wait, I want a Ryan Reynolds and The Rock movie.
Holy
Yes, please.
I don't care what they do. It
Yeah.
could just be them hugging for an hour and a half, and I'll watch it.
I'd be into that. I'd be very
The
into
Rock.
that.
If The Rock took over the role of Colossus.
See, I think,
Yes.
I think the worst part of that is that Ryan Reynolds is too goddamn big. And that's why Kevin Hart works with The Rock.
We brought
Because
this up
he's a
last
midget.
night. He's fucking 6 feet tall.
Yeah, it would be interesting.
I think it's weird when you take someone who is kind of initially known for like rom-coms and like Van Wilder movies, and then you
Right.
say, yeah, that same guy, he's fucking scary looking.
Yeah.
Yeah,
He's horrifying.
I mean,
Well, it's the
He's
It's the
awesome,
Patrick
like, I've
Bateman
always
approach
liked
of
Ryan
things.
Reynolds. Yeah.
Well, yeah, like when he's barreling, not really a spoiler, but like I said last night, like in Deadpool 2, when he runs out of his apartment and runs full speed
Mhm.
at someone's car and shoulder checked it, I'm like, I know that was a stunt. The way he looks and the way he's running, I'd
Yeah.
probably get out of the way.
I mean, this is kind of if you're someone who somehow hasn't seen Ted, the movie about the talking bear,
I
Ryan
haven't.
Reynolds has the best cameo in that movie where he's just a silent guy who beats up what the fuck is that guy's name? He plays Joe in Family Guy.
Patrick Woodward.
Yeah, he plays Patrick Wilburton's boyfriend who beats him up or whatever.
I don't remember this at all from that movie, but I was pretty.
I don't remember it either. Holy crap!
All I remember is Flash Gordon.
I don't think Ted's a bad movie at all. I think Seth MacFarlane's actually a funny man when he's not doing Family Guy.
It's fine, but that joke is so weird because it's just Ryan Reynolds shows up as a man.
Well,
that's a
because
silent man.
That's because that's like Seth MacFarlane's humor is just that. It's like he takes something and adds a weird twist to it, and that's it.
Yeah, that's he's fucking random as shit.
That's why Family Guy is now basically a sketch comedy show with light plot spread in between.
Yeah. Right.
Like racist current crush.
You just head back where you came from.
Back to where you came.
Back to where you came.
That's why Seth MacFarlane's cartoon cavalcade of Seth MacFarlane's cavalcade of cartoon comedy is one of the best things he's ever made because there's no plot. It's just short animated sketches of stuff like several cats are in a boardroom having a meeting, and outside the window a dog is slowly pulling up a wrecking ball. And then as these cats are having a very rudimentary meeting, this ball starts swaying back and forth for about 15 seconds, and then finally hits the window, and they all scatter and meow and scream. That's the whole bit, but it's hilarious when you see it.
It does remind me I do have to watch the Orville because I've heard only good things.
I have also only heard good
Yeah.
things.
I watched the first few episodes. It's actually really good. I need to catch up on it.
Yeah. Alan refused to watch Star Trek Discovery because of that show. So
I've refused to watch Star Trek Discovery.
Lots of things for silly reasons. Right, Alan? You hear me? Alan. I know you will someday.
See, I refuse to watch the new Star Trek just because it's like I'm so tired of all the new Star Trek stuff relying completely on action.
Well, that's
I want to go back to the days of, hey, look, we're discovering things.
So we should talk more after this, but what you're describing is only the first 2 episodes. Because the first 2 episodes are basically a movie, and then the rest of it is the most Star Trekkiness I've ever seen. Like,
is it?
Well, do you know which?
Let's not forget that like the best Star Trek movie is essentially a chess game in space. So
yes.
See, my favorite.
Or when they meet God.
We'll say.
What does God need with a spaceship?
My favorite of the Star Trek movies is actually Undiscovered Country.
That's a very good one. That one is very good.
Not a Quest for Peace.
Wait, hold on. Is Undiscovered Country where Kirk is trying to out-act himself when that chick shapeshifts as him?
Yes.
Yeah.
No wait, is that Search for Spock? I don't remember.
No, that's not Search for Spock.
Undiscovered.
Okay.
Oh wait, Undiscovered Country is the one where they're they're actually making the peace deal with the Klingons.
Yes, that's the same one, Gary. You're forgetting that there's a shape-shifting woman in that movie.
Yeah, when they send
because it goes that weird
prison planet.
That snow prison, and like
that prison planet that is just
that woman turns into Kirk, and then William Shatner is basically acting against himself, and it's the most laughable shit in the world.
That part is bad, but the movie
also
is
have
good.
Sex?
But David Warner is good in that movie.
Yeah.
Did William Shatner direct that, or did Spock direct that one?
I think that was a Shatner one.
Yeah. Nimoy directed Khan, I believe.
Yeah.
He directed 3 and 4. Then fucking Shatner directed 5. Why does God need a spaceship? And then and I can't remember who did 6.
Which movie had the guy from Seventh Heaven that's a pedophile?
Oh,
that's number 1,
wasn't it?
That's
the
the
motion.
That's the motion
But
picture.
Which one had the fucking wife from Seventh Heaven? That was 4. That was
Are you sure you're not thinking one of the TV shows?
The one about the whales. Yes.
Oh no! Wait, no. She's the.
The whales is Quest for Peace. That's when they go to the 80s.
Yeah, that's part 4.
You're thinking of Superman. You're.
No.
Quest for Peace is Superman 4. I mean, it's understandable.
Oh yeah, it is. Yeah.
It was
Which
Superman
one
4.
had
4 is Voyage Home.
Voyage Home. Yeah.
Yeah.
Which one had Christy Alley and Christopher Lloyd?
Anyway, Shazam.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, Shazam licensing photos. That happened. We all had thoughts about them.
His ass is not as good as Superman's.
Oh no, okay, so here's the thing.
Those
production photos, I was like, okay.
Ass isn't as good as Superman.
I saw the production photos, I was like, all right, that's not bad. And then once I saw it, like, in that photo where he's got the fucking Slurpee or some shit.
Yeah.
Suddenly, I was like, the whole look fell apart.
Yep.
Like, I don't like it.
It's that patterned look on the.
It's not even that. It's like for some reason, like I don't like Zachary Levi.
Levi.
Who knows?
Like I think he was the one that undid the entire thing.
I think
I saw his goofy ass head popping out of that huge fucking costume. I was like, this doesn't look good at all.
That is my exact problem. With it. His head is not square enough in a kind of way.
To be fair,
I'll give you that.
When have you ever gone into a 7-Eleven, seen one of those tie-in cups, and been like, that looks cool? Like, when was the last time you remember seeing one of those cups and being like, that cup is so cool, I want that cup? Like, I can't even think of the time where that ever happened.
To age myself here, the only time I actually had anything like that was when I was like 8 or 9, and they had the glasses that you could get at Burger King for various movies. And I remember getting the Return of the Jedi ones, but that's also because I was a child.
Right.
Oh, Burger King did the Star Trek ones too that were actually pretty fucking decent.
I know they did Batman ones also.
Yeah, when Batman Returns came out. No, that was
Batman
McDonald's.
Forever.
Oh, when The Dark Knight came out, Domino's had a Gotham City pizza.
Yeah.
That's unrelated, but I wanted to bring it up.
They had commercials where the Joker was holding, like, Joker people were like, what was it? What were they, like, holding people hostage across the street or whatever? And then
Would you like some pizza?
Yeah, or something like that. It was really dumb.
Well, here's the thing: the Gotham City pizza was there. Here's the gimmick.
It was black.
No, it was. It came in a really cool black box. In the bottom, you could cut out a Batman mask.
And get pizza grease all over your face.
Yeah,
I know.
Why would you cut out the bottom and not the top? The bottom's where the grease is sitting.
It might have been the top. I can't remember. But
either way, you're still getting greased because of the steam and stuff.
The gimmick
it's like you can wear this mask and get acne. Awesome.
From edge to edge, this thing was covered in pepperoni. Like the most pepperoni.
But what does that have to do with Batman? It's look, our Batman tie-in is we put a shit ton of fucking pepperoni on this pizza.
Pepperoni on this pizza to kill you.
Alfred, I need pepperoni. Alfred, where's my pepperoni?
Well, Master Wayne.
It's like that whole time he's mourning what's her face, Maggie Gyllenhaal.
A piece of pepperoni,
all he would ever
a tangerine.
The size of a tangerine.
Well, Master Wayne, seems we run out of pepperoni because Domino's is taking all of it.
You open the box and someone murders your parents.
No, anyways, god damn it. God damn it. Okay, anyways, none of these licensing photos ever look good, so I think that this is the worst context for an official Shazam thing to ever come out. Like, because again, like, really cool things that I've been excited about have had bad licensing photos.
Well,
and it might have to do with the perspective of the photo, because if you were to film anybody in that suit from the bottom up, like you're creating size.
Yep.
So I think it would look a little different. Like that's like wrestling is filmed in certain ways to make certain people like the Big Show, Kane, Undertaker look like massive people. Like you have cameramen who are sitting on the side of the aisle to catch them the way down to make them look gigantic.
Right. I mean, we did see the behind the
7 feet tall. But yeah, the behind the scenes stuff is always from a distance.
Yeah.
Right, but he looked good in the suit, like even from a distance, and you know they're going to use wide angles a lot.
Yeah, better. But this is your first up close official non-cell phone photo of the Shazam look, and it fell apart the moment I saw it.
Yeah.
Well, and
but it's also photoshopped from here to fucking.
Maybe this is a case where Warner Brothers should be controlling what's being put out a little bit more.
I'm surprised he was able to put that out and he wasn't asked to take it down like immediately. Like, I'm very shocked by it.
Because Warner Brothers probably backed it.
No, I'm pretty sure that his Instagram photo got taken down.
Oh, really?
Yeah, but it got screenshotted before then.
Well, the internet and everything lives forever.
Yeah.
Warner Brothers is the problem. Warner Brothers isn't the solution to anything.
Well, no, but like this is something that we shouldn't have seen until it was on a cup. You know what I mean? Like this should have been on a gas station cup in a commercial before we ever saw this. We should have seen either a trailer or an official poster or an official still before this ever became public for any of us.
Okay, so we know.
Absolutely.
Now, my question about this whole Shazam thing is, what is The Rock doing?
I don't know.
He's not
being in it. That's for sure.
Apparently he's the end of the movie, I guess. That's everything that I've heard.
He's also producing it.
Yes.
Oh, really?
Is he really?
Yes. Yep.
Wow.
Well, he has producerial rights on every movie that he's in.
Okay.
So,
Because he can.
yeah, because he can do that, and he also we can go into a whole other tangent about this, but he sells his Twitter following and his Instagram following for their advertising value. So he basically says, on top of the normal amount of attention that I would get by tweeting about these things and by posting about these things, I will go full on overtime with that before the movie comes out, and I will become my own personal promotion engine for your movie if you pay me this fee.
Knowing that now, it makes a lot of sense about Baywatch and whatnot, but
Yes.
in the same sense, he does it in a way that doesn't seem as schmaltzy or just scummy as that sounds.
Well, that's
Because-
because he's dreamy.
Yes, and we would all like to do things to him.
Well, and he also
The Rock does things to you.
That's
he
true.
also learned from
Fair enough.
he learned from the biggest carny on earth, Vince McMahon, on how to sell things. So
Yeah.
Fair, but at
And
least
here's
The
the-
Rock's not a giant douche from what I can tell.
This is
Yeah.
true.
What I was gonna say earlier when we were talking about him actually is that I think, and here's how gifted he is as an entertainer. I think within a few days of him having his first training sessions with the WWF, people walked in and said, "So how long has he been doing this?" They said about 2 days, and they're like, "He looks like someone who's been doing this for 5 years."
Well, he's third
Wow.
generation.
Well,
Yeah, he's
Yeah.
third generation. Just has he has talent you can't even
Well,
put into
the thing is,
a genetic line. It's
Nope.
ridiculous.
to go before that, the stories, I don't know if you've gone back, when he was at the University of Miami playing football, it was that he was an absolute prick there. And that him getting kicked out or having to basically be done with football because of injury really humbled the shit out of him. Because when he was there, he was like a superstar prospect. He was supposed to be
Yeah.
a first round draft pick, but he was both a dick and he ended up getting hurt. But he was on the team with Hall of Fame players at the time.
Yeah,
I
he's
think
the end.
well,
Wow.
see, and here's the thing. It's a situation like that either makes you more of a dick or you become one of the nicest human beings on the planet.
Yeah, and he's the anti-Bill Goldberg because Bill Goldberg came from football, transitioned to wrestling, and was immediately positioned as hot shit. And he was like, "That's right, that's what I am," and continued to think that way up until 2 years ago.
I was about to say,
Well,
I was
he
gonna
actually
say up until he did the fucking sequel to Universal Soldier, and then everybody's like, "What the fuck, dude?"
Yeah, well, the thing is, of all those guys that went from football to something else, Goldberg actually had a career. Even Lesnar
Yes.
was nothing.
Yeah.
Goldberg
Well,
was in the NFL for.
Okay, if anybody is the anti-Rock, it's Brock Lesnar because Brock Lesnar's an actual piece of shit who doesn't care about any of his chosen professions as long as he gets a fat paycheck out of it and as long as he gets to crush someone's head open like a soda can. He's a
Well-
garbage human being.
But he can only do that in wrestling. He cannot do that. In
Yeah, that's
the other
why
thing
he's
he does.
That's why he's staying in wrestling because he gets paid $6 million
Ooh.
a year to work
No, 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 no.
25 days, and he
No,
gets
no.
to drop elbows on people's foreheads and make them bleed for real.
Yeah,
From
well,
everything I've seen, the only other wrestler I think I really want to make it beyond wrestling is John Cena.
It's already done. It's gonna happen. That's
Yeah.
a given. And
He's.
it is honestly only a matter of time before he's offered a superhero role or a comic-related role.
I
because
hope so
look at-
because
As
look at him, but also look at his he is kind of a superhero.
Oh yeah, totally.
Anyway, this
He's
has been a
also-
very
he's
interesting
also-
wrestling zone.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I was going to say,
Yeah.
Connor, just one last thing before we move on. There is a heavy rumor that I think that basically the heavyweight championship in the UFC is going to be in a couple weeks. That they're going to announce that Brock Lesnar is coming back to the UFC
Oh,
to fight.
fucking leave
Yeah,
forever.
He's supposed to fight John Jones. Supposedly.
Have him
That's what
fight
they
CM Punk.
Wait,
Have him
hold
do
on.
that.
Oh, wait, real quick. He's gonna fight John Jones.
Yes. Well, you know, they
is this
A
gonna-
Martian Manhunter?
Are they gonna put a big giant pile of drugs in the octagon and let him go at it and just see who gets the most first?
Well, one of them does steroids. The other one does all the cocaine.
Okay, here's what they're gonna do. They're gonna put the cocaine in Brock's corner and the steroids in Jones's corner, and they're gonna have to fight to get to each corner so they can do their substance of choice.
Well,
Here's the thing,
I would have
I
to
would
say,
watch
as a-
the UFC if that happened.
Yes.
I'm like all in. I'm sold. Like,
just turn
if you wanna
wrestling into
watch-
fucking just turn UFC into wrestling,
Well,
Yeah.
CM Punk is fighting in like a week or two.
and he's gonna get smashed again.
Yes.
No, I know like the guy he's fighting is 0-1, so he's fighting another noob. But part
Oh
of
my
what's
God.
annoying is his contract is set so that he can only be on pay-per-view. So they basically have to put this garbage fight on pay-per-view and then a bunch of better fights on regular TV.
Yep.
who
Anyway,
the fuck's like, I can only be on pay-per-view? Look at me. I am great.
I'm CM Punk. I lost. One.
All right. Youngblood
No,
The
no, no,
Pouch.
CM Punk.
God
yeah,
fucking
anyway,
damn it.
anyway, let's get off wrestling. So we have talked about the pouch on this show before,
Yeah.
So good.
and
Yes.
how we
There's-
really like the pouch, and how
there's
Rob
No
Liefeld has
depths I
become
won't go to talk about the pouch.
how Rob Liefeld has kind of he went from an industry joke to kind of being in on the joke
Yes.
to
Yeah, he's fucking Christopher Walken at this
He
point.
pivoted.
To now making the joke.
So
Christopher Walken's a great analogy. That's exactly what he did.
Rob Liefeld
Yeah.
is a god now. We must protect him.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
Like, he is so willing to make fun of himself. I mean, he came up with the pouch for fuck's sake.
If he
Like,
had,
because
he came
every
up with the pouch on a whim, and then people were like, "Holy shit, this is fantastic!"
like,
Well,
this
I
man is
also-
a genius.
I
You can-
wonder if this turnaround happened because he got a decent amount of cash from Deadpool.
Oh, I'm sure he
I'm
did.
sure. If he
Like-
he could break the internet if he drew the pouch in that terrible Captain America pose.
Oh,
That would
God.
destroy the-
with his big fucking burly chest.
Yeah,
So
but
how
it's
long
just-
is it
Those
before we
giant,
see a,
those glorious Captain America tips,
So-
but it's just two pouches.
So here's why we're talking about the pouch, because apparently the pouch is going to show up in Youngblood.
Or something like that.
Dude, I'm for it. The
Personally-
pouch could show up
personally-
in my house.
Personally, here's what I want to happen. I want him to show up as a villain in the latest Bloodstrike run. So that way the pouch can graphically murder all of these terrible knockoff superheroes, including not Wolverine.
Right.
Who's also
Yes.
played by
I was
Rob
gonna say,
Liefeld.
you said a bunch of words I've never heard before, so I don't know what you're talking about.
Okay, so
because-
Bloodstrike is Image's. Here's how I know Bloodstrike. Bloodstrike was like I got like 6 comics like from a yard sale, and they were Image Comics. This team called Bloodstrike. You look at all of them and go, "That's Cable. That's Wolverine. That's someone else. I'm sure is derivative of. That's a fucking Gundam." It's a series of
Oh,
ripoffs.
go fucking figure. It's Image Comics.
And it was an arc where they fought Image's Superman, who's
Oh my
Supreme.
God.
But Supreme is an asshole who will
So-
grab Secret Service agents in public and melt their faces.
No, it's
Um,
not like Squadron Supreme. It's like, but they copy the copy.
Probably.
Dude, oh my god.
Well,
I'm
actually-
looking at the issue 1 fucking cover of Bloodstrike. That is Cable and Wolverine and what looks like
Wait,
Silver.
I'm gonna add in here. Did you ever see?
Oh
I
my
shared this
God.
last time we talked. He's not Captain America. Captain America.
Oh, I've
Yes.
seen that. It's
Yeah, I
fantastic.
shared it last week or the last episode.
Eric, your
so-
image is so good.
So here's
His chest.
his chest bones.
Jesus Christ.
So
Please,
and
is that
these-
an actual?
Yes, that
Oh,
appeared
yeah,
in an
yeah.
actual comic book.
Yeah,
Well, the
100%.
one on the left.
Yeah.
Yeah, the
Um,
far left.
So Bloodstrike is a team, and their entire gimmick is that they're funded by some secret government organization, and they are basically
Shield.
expendable super soldiers who can get ripped apart and put back together by this thing called Project Born Again. So they're expendable and recyclable superheroes, and they send them to fight Supreme. And my 9-year-old eyeballs or something like that are reading comic book pages where the main characters of the book are getting their eyeballs gouged out, their jaws ripped off, their intestines ripped out, their fingers broken off, and then being punched in half.
Yeah.
Why does
Oh.
this sound like a? Why
And
does
we
this
wonder
sound
why
like a
Connor is
ripoff
the way
of
he is.
everything?
Well,
Because it was the 90s.
in
Yeah.
defense of Supreme, though, there was actually a really great run written by Alan Moore that took the
I have heard
character
about
and
that.
made it ridiculously meta. Like, he was running into past versions of himself, and just it was really crazy, and it's worth tracking down.
It sounds
It's
like Alan
really
Moore.
quite good.
So you
Yeah,
mean they
it's-
took a shitty idea and gave it to a really good writer, and it turned out okay?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was like 15 or 20 issues, but it was
Yeah, so there's
really good.
Lou, if you go in the chat right now, there's a Bloodstream comic issue, and you can see right there on the bottom, not Wolverine, and above
Yeah,
it, it's not
I just
Cable.
shared that.
Oh, that's you. I thought
That's
it was
not
Gerry.
Wolverine.
Okay.
Yeah, I was gonna say like that. Not Cable is basically the Pouch prequel.
So I have a pitch for how the
God
pouch.
almighty, yeah.
I have a
Shit.
pitch
Because if you
for
look,
how...
I want to count how many pouches he has. And I'll come back to you.
1, 2, 3.
I have
lost
at least
count
7.
already.
There's like
Well,
9
wait,
on his legs.
On his legs, though, he has pouches connected by belt straps over a pouch. What the?
Oh, well, but my
shit,
favorite
he really
part is
does.
his giant purple codpiece.
I was about
It's
to
so
get the
good.
giant purple codpiece.
It's so good. Okay.
How heavy is this motherfucker? If all those pouches are for ammo,
Some
he's
of them
got
are
to be
just-
like 1,000 pounds.
That's why I want the pouch's superpower. Is that each one of his pouches contains another person's superpower.
Yes.
So he just reaches in and he has like he's just like, all right, I need flight.
I just want to say, does Rob Liefeld not understand how a thigh and a calf can't be the same size?
No, he doesn't.
Apparently not. Does he,
He also
not
he also doesn't
understand
understand like your ankle should not be as thin as that guy's is.
I
Okay.
feel like
that? He
someone-
also doesn't understand that a fucking leg does not have a hourglass figure.
I feel like if somebody had an art degree, they could do a podcast breaking down one Rob Liefeld image every week for fun.
God, somebody should
Oh,
make that show. That's
Speaking of Liefeld images, I'm going to send one over to you guys of his. Mind you, this is in the past like 5 years or so.
Right.
Uncanny X-Force that he did.
See, looking at Rob Liefeld,
That's
He
actually
didn't.
fairly
He didn't. He
refined.
didn't do the art, but this one particular image just bothers me to no end.
You mean that Psylocke has a katana between her tits?
I mean,
The fact that Angel doesn't, or Archangel doesn't have any drawings or any real detail because he put all the lines on Wolverine's neck.
yeah.
The fact
mean-
that Deadpool's head looks like a football.
dude,
Yeah.
looking at
And
these
what is it-
drawings
and what
makes
is
me
it-
feel
what are
better
those-
about me drawing.
What are those silly ass guns? What's his face is holding behind the
Phantom X.
Phantom X? He has
Yeah.
2 brains.
Yeah. Actually, I thought he had 3.
Right? I don't know. I
Yeah.
think of all the things that Liefeld does, his not to get SJW, but his women drawings are the worst. That's why I pointed out the
Yeah.
Psylocke.
Yeah.
So we go back to the other image, they're so bad.
Oh, everybody has
Yeah.
rock boobies.
Yes.
Um,
But that's also endemic of the medium
also
in and
have-
of itself.
Well, he
Extremely
created. He
durable
was like,
spikes.
Yeah, because I mean the whole group that he was coming out with, like when Image first started, like McFarlane, which he has some issues with the way he handles women in his comics, but like Jim Lee could actually draw women really well, and he did on quite a few occasions, from what my little 10-year-old mind
and
remembers.
even the Bloodstrike comics, like as I read them when I was little, like the female characters were all drawn the same. They had
Mhm.
big, giant beach ball tits.
Yep.
That would poke out of
unitard.
every outfit they had.
He's. I think the Liefeld's thing was like a unitard where it was like a kind of G-string onesie that was like 90s or 80s.
And
You know what I'm
as I've said multiple times on the show when talking about Liefeld, we've all got to remember he was like 18
Oh
or
shit,
19.
forearm. Why do I
He
know
was-
that character from a distance?
He
I
was 18 or
definitely-
19 when he got started, so
Yeah, we
he
said
probably
that
still
last
had all the hormones running through him.
Yep, that is forearm and deadlock. I am so mad that I know these characters' names from a distance.
yeah.
Anyway,
What
so
was
the
I gonna
pouch is
say?
making his comic book debut, and I couldn't be more
So,
excited for it.
I had an idea for what I want the Pouch's origin to be, which is that he is the living infestation of the pouches of other characters come to
Yes.
life. They're like the creatures from Slither, but they all come together and they form the pouch.
I just want each pouch to be a pocket dimension.
Yes.
So it's like a bag of holding, but each pouch is that thing. He can just pull anything he needs out of any pouch.
Each pouch is a different comic book universe.
Yes.
Oh, so
but,
he's basically Deus Ex Machina, the character.
but there's always that his face pouch is the one he'll never open.
Here's the thing: he opens that, and it's like looking into I don't know, It's
The Ark of the
Into the
Covenant.
sun.
yes.
Yeah.
Exactly.
God damn it.
He opens it and it's just lined with eyeballs on the inside, and he's like, "Now you see."
Now you see
It's
all.
this like love. It's this Lovecraftian horror waiting inside of his fucking pouch.
It's
Yeah.
just a spinning acid trip of other pouches.
It's he just starts quoting Bloodborne. He's like, "Fear the old blood." Opens up his pouch.